Hello guys, we have an Endgame from 1988. I ain't gonna spell the name of the one who did the Endgame because I won't be able to, and I don't want to insult any nationality by misspelling a name. So you'll find it on the top of the video. This Endgame, it's about triangulation. It's a bit tricky. It might take some time to fully understand it. I did struggle a bit with it. Um, and sadly, it does have two solutions. You can easily win by taking a position. And I'm going to quickly do the moves because I need to shrink this video in under 10 minutes for TikTok purposes. Sorry for that, guys. We did film before and it took us 12 minutes to explain it. So we try to be as fast as possible for technical reasons. Black moves, we take a position. Black cannot afford to step on b6 because this pawn after the exchange will reach f8 before the king can reach it. You can try that, practice and see here for yourself. So therefore he has to go to d6. We manage to flank, take a position again, and this tempo move will allow us to gain a position, get access to the 6th rank, gain the pawn or flank behind, and then we win. As well, black cannot win even if he tries to attack the pawns. If he goes towards the g4, we get in a mine square endgame. There is another way but mine squares. Let's do first that one. If black decides to push the h pawn, we take, and there's no way he can have access in front of the pawn. Even if he takes, we keep the black king away. He cannot step on g6, and then there's no way he can stop the pawns. Going backwards, if black will take, we're not afraid to step on the mine square because he cannot take the other mine square. And even if he takes our pawn, this is a winning game. This pawn will not manage to convert in a queen, and then we win. And there's no way he can prevent this from transforming. So that was a short way to present the opposition solution of the puzzle. Now going back to our triangulation. Yep. So this is the starting position. The solution is connected to key squares. So for those of you who want to watch the key squares, is the endgame with the king and pawn versus king, where the pawn will find itself on the 5th rank. And then we know that in that case scenario, the key squares will be on the 6th rank, in front of the pawn and on diagonals. In our case, the key squares will be e6, f6, and g6. As long as white king gets control of any of them, he will definitely win the endgame. So if white king goes to f4 with the purpose of pushing on g, black has to go in that sequence on e7. So every time the white king goes f4, black has to be able to push e7 in order to keep the draw. So if white is pushing, black takes, white takes, black takes, white king captures, and now the black king managed to keep the key squares away from the white king. And we know this is a classic draw endgame as long as black plays accurately and keep the central line. There's no way white can win. The most he can get a stalemate. Now, we know what's the problem. We need a solution. So we need to find a way that once we reach this position, it will be black's turn to move. That's exactly what triangulation is. Triangulation, if you remember, is a maneuver that allows us to pass the move to the black king. So how would you do that? Again, f4, he takes the right spot. Now, if you remember, triangulation is like a triangle, literally. So we will try to move our king in a triangle. If you go to f3, and now let's say black goes back to d6, then we go to e3, we go to e4, and he goes back. Now we can get f4 and therefore complete our triangulation and pass the move to the black king. Because now if black king will step to d7 and we push, we do the exchange, he goes back, we manage to get our key square and win the endgame just for demo, and then the pawn converts. So that was one scenario, but black has his tools as well. So again, we go to f4, black king goes to e7, and once we go to f3, black doesn't have to go to d6. Black can choose to go to d7. And now the data has changed, because if we continue to our regular pattern, king to e4, remember the triangle, yeah, king to d6 this time. So black has his triangle of his own, as you can see. So you can beat a triangulation by making another triangulation move. So if you want to fight against somebody who's trying to pass you the move, you have to apply another triangulation pattern to be able to annihilate that one. So black will go this triangle, d6, we go back to f4, and again black moves to e7, and we still don't want to move. So white's triangle, black's triangle. Very clever. How can we beat a triangle? Well, triangulation, it means 3 squares. In order to beat, and that was meant to beat 2 squares. So with a triangulation, you can beat a 2 square maneuver. But how can you beat a 3 square maneuver? For that, you will need a 4 square maneuver. How can white do that? So let's see. King f3. Now, remember black played king e7. Instead of going to e4, we will go to e3 this time. And black can choose to step backwards. As you can see, black doesn't have the 4 square available. That's why he can only do 3 squares. So if he goes back, we go to f4. We found ourselves in the same position and black has to move. And if he decides to go to d6, we do e4. Yeah, and then we won. If he goes backward, we take a position and then he will lose. So he has to go to e7. Then we go to f4 and we find ourselves in the same position after our maneuver with black to move. But black doesn't necessarily has to go to d7. He can also go to f7. Some of you might ask, which seems very clever. But in this case scenario, black will lose the flanking. And once white goes to d5 opposition, and now it doesn't matter what, you just use the tempo. Black cannot step away because you lose the pawns, and if you go this way, he's lost already. I hope it was instructive. It was a bit difficult. I find it a bit difficult. Maybe some of you might find it easier. But if you find this one a bit difficult, practice with your friends or by yourself, like Bobby Fischer used to do. And it will definitely help you in your games when you face this endgame.